This is Brian David Marshall at the inaugural World Magic Cup. We're in the tournament center. We're here with Alexander Hayne, and we're about to do an M13 draft tech. I'm afraid it's a little bit of a possibly not like what you should do, or maybe it's a what not you should do. Alexander's gotten off to a bit of a rough start. Not something he's unfamiliar with. You got off to a rough start in Barcelona.
Yeah.
Tell us what you're thinking about as you're sitting down to do an M13 draft. What kind of decks do you like to draft, and what do you want to be?
I really like blue-black control. I just like card draw, counter spells, removal, and Archaeomancer. He's my favorite.
How high will you pick that card?
Pretty high. Like the more I've been drafting, the higher and higher he goes. But I just generally like try and see what flows and go with the flow. And
sure. How many drafts would you say you got in practice-wise in preparation for this event?
15 to 20, something like that.
Well, okay. You feel that's enough? You want more? You want less?
You can always draft more.
Okay. So I think we're gonna put your draft up on the wall. Now you can look at what Alexander did. You can go to the draft viewer. You were sitting at a table. You also had Samuel Estradi at your table. You had Hall of Famer Jelger Wiegersma at your table.
Yeah, on either side of me.
So they were boxing you in.
Yeah.
It's a pretty tough crowd. So tell me what you're thinking about here in Pack 1. We know you like to be control. Are you thinking about Augur of Bolas? Are you thinking about Archaeomancer?
Well, I prefer Archaeomancer over Augur of Bolas. Augur of Bolas is just okay. But I think the real cards that stand out here are the Saravenger, the Flint Hoof Boar, and probably the Knight of Infamy. I'd say those are the best three cards. I think the Saravenger's like head and shoulders, I think, above the rest. The Boar is probably the second best, but it really commits you to red-green.
Okay, so you took the Saravenger. What is that saying to you about what the draft's going to be, and what are you thinking about in terms of what you're telling the people around you with the cards you're passing them?
Well, I'm hoping somebody is probably going to see either the Boar or the Knight or something.
Right. And so you'd like to have like a black exalted deck and maybe
there's
a green,
lot of
red
blue
B10.
cards too. That are just decent. So I think there's probably going to be a couple of blue drafters down the road.
Sure. So Saravenger. Let's take a look at your second pack, and then you get past. This is an interesting dilemma over here: Volcanic Geyser and Searing Spear.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I picked correctly here. I didn't take Rancor because I really don't like green-white.
Okay.
I maybe should have taken the Voidstalker, but I felt that being past both these red cards was a very strong signal that that red is going to continue to flow.
Tell us about Voidstalker a little bit. I mean, it's a card that, it seems just maybe to more experienced players is obviously a terrific card, but I think to the inexperienced player it doesn't seem as amazing. What makes this card so good?
Well, the fact early on you can just play it and attack with it, and it's kind of like a stored removal spell. You get to like, it's like a seal or something. You get to have it in play, and then whenever they play something you want to kill, you just shuffle it away.
Right. And then if you're a blue deck, you're drawing more cards than your opponent.
Right.
And you might see it more often than they're going to see the card you
Exactly.
shuffle down for them. But your dilemma you end up coming down between Geyser, Searing Spear. There's also a Mog Flunkies in the pack.
Right.
Are you thinking any of this is coming back to you, or?
Well, that's the other thing. If I taking one of the red cards, I probably can wheel the Flunkies. It depends. Someone downstream is going to take the other red card above the Flunkies, and there's a lot of other good cards in the pack. So. And
Volcanic Geyser to you definitely better than Searing Spear?
I think it's a lot better. I mean, the Spear is definitely more splashable, but the Geyser's a more powerful card.
Okay.
And early on in the draft, I try and go for more powerful cards with higher potential upside.
So now you have a Saravenger. Now you have a Volcanic Geyser. Now what are you thinking? Like, do you recalibrate what your deck's going to be every pick in those early packs? I mean,
a little bit. I'm not really locked into anything yet.
Okay.
I'd prefer obviously to be in white-red ideally, but
sure.
If I'm just one or the other, or even neither, if like a nuts green-blue deck comes or something.
Sure. Okay. Let's take a look at pick 3. Healer of the Pride, Griffin Protector, green. We've seen like a lot of good green cards now. We've seen the Flint Hoof Boar, we've seen the Rancor. Now we see Prey Upon. Going that way. So you got to feel pretty comfortable that you're sending somebody into green. Probably Jelger.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, here I think Prey Upon and Griffin Protector and Fogbank are the best cards.
Okay. Healer of the Pride, not a card that's very interesting to you?
I like it, but not that much. I find it's better in blue-white, which which if I was in blue-white, I'd rather have the fog bank, I think,
Sure.
instead. Like in red-white, you want to be more aggressive, so I think you don't need to gain the life as much.
Right. So third pick, fog bank, anything anomalous? Are you like, oh, should that be going higher? Like people are talk about fog bank quite a bit when they're talking about this draft format.
Yeah.
Does that feel like a signal at all to you in terms of blue or?
Potentially. It's not. I don't know if it's that strong a signal.
Okay.
There's another uncommon missing. Someone could have taken like murder and sleep or something, and
Sure.
I don't know.
But Griffin Protector.
It's just very strong card. I like it a lot.
Where would you place it in terms of like white commons?
It's probably. I mean, it's probably second or third, something.
It's like Avon Squire and then like Griffin Protector or
Well, there's
Attendant,
pacifism. I think
Oh, pacifism, sure. Yeah.
I probably have it higher than the Tendon Knight, but
Okay. All right. So now we've got two white cards. We've got a red card. Let's go to a little change up here. Well, what's going on in this pack? This is your fourth pick.
Yeah. So the best cards here is the Execution and the Slime.
Okay.
The Crusader's fine, but it's not. I'm not that excited to pick it up that early.
Sure.
Whereas, I think an Execution coming this late is a reasonable signal.
And you like Acidic Slime better than the Green Doomblade?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
There's a lot of enchantments, especially like Mark of the Vampire and Tricks of the Trade, that you want to be killing, as well as all the rings.
Right. Definitely, as the draft format has gotten a little older, Tricks of the Trade has become
better and
more,
better. Yeah.
more and more of a threat. You see people putting it on the Force Beast or the 3/3 hexproof,
You're right, yeah.
5/5 hexproof unblockable, and
or on a scroll, even on a Scroll Thief, it's
it's kind of a nightmare.
It's yeah.
So and Crusader of Odric, not something that is, even though it's in your color, not something that's on your mind here.
I consider it, but I just think it's significantly worse than the other cards.
Okay.
And I find the Execution is potentially splashable removal.
Okay.
So
Okay. All right. So, and then I think we've gone 5 picks deep in each pack. So let's take a look at this one. Again, green just seems quite good. Seems running pretty deep. You've got to feel pretty comfortable about that. Again, going to your left. So it's really just kind of seems like a layup. You're just gonna take turn to slag. Is there any other consideration here?
I mean, not really, unless I want to decide to go into green myself. But I think it's too late for that at this point.
Right. Prey upon Rancor.
Yeah, this Acidic Slime, Flint Boar. Yeah. That time has passed.
Yeah. So yeah.
And the turn to slags, it's nothing to get excited about, but it's a solid card.
Right. Okay. So how does the rest of we'll come to this pick in a second. How does the rest of that pack play out for you? What happens? Does the Mog Flunky come back around to you?
The Flunkies comes back.
Okay.
And I pick up an Arsonist, and so I have a reasonable aggressive curve.
Okay. So are you still thinking you're red-white, or are you thinking you're red-black at the end of pack 1?
Yeah, I'm still thinking I'm red-white more than red-black, because I pick up some reasonable white cards near the end.
Okay.
But I think I should have. That was where my main mistake was. I should have started to go more red-black.
Okay. So after the public execution, which is you think a signal also that maybe black is open, that you should have moved forward. Okay. So pack 2, pick 1. Walk us through your thought process.
Well, there's nothing really to compare with the Geyser. It's just other than maybe the Crippling Blight, but Geyser's way more powerful, right. And I wasn't sure that I was black at all.
So you're just on the Fireball plan now?
Yeah.
So you have 2 instant speed X spells.
Right.
What do you want your early game plan to be?
Well, I want to basically flood the board early, get in lots of early damage, and then attempt to finish them off with burn spells.
So let's see how your next pick goes. Another Void Stalker. So this is a card, the Crimson Muckwader.
Yeah.
Now you're starting to think black.
Yeah, I'm thinking that I might end up black still, and even if I'm just red-white, it's still fine. It's a Goblin Piker.
Okay.
And it's very possible that maybe I am red-white, but I splash black for the Execution, in which case this guy's also good.
Okay. Moving along to the next pick. Furnace Whelp. not, Goblin Battle Jester, Krenko's Command.
Krenko's Command's good. I think if I had an arms dealer, I would have taken the Krenko's Command, but instead I took the Furnace Whelp. He's really good.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, he's always going to trade at least with what they have in the sky.
Long tradition of that guy dominating limited games.
Yeah.
So okay, so moving on here, and Dragon Hatchlings. There's not really anything else here for you. Do you think at all about volcanic strength?
I don't. I not that much. I like volcanic strength, especially for the red mirror matches, but.
But you like Dragon Hatchling?
Yeah, I was at this point. I was very heavy red as well. So, and I like the Hatchling. It breaks open.
And it gives you sort of a little mini fireball to get in there early on. Okay, so I think now that should bring us to pack 3. Oh no, we got one more pick here. An old standby, the Hill Giant / Canyon Minotaur, just kind of a curve filler, ground staller.
Yeah, it's not. I'm definitely not excited to pick that up, but I mean, it's just, and you need some bodies to get there sometimes.
Okay, so now pack 3, and this is. Tell me about Chronometon.
Chronometon's really good. It's a card that I didn't think that when I started drafting M13 was very good, but the more and more I drafted it, just took over games. It's. I mean, first of all, it's a 1-drop 1/1 for 1, which is typically not very good in limited, but the fact that it just grows over time, and in limited, your mana, you often have spots in your curve where you have an extra mana, and then you just use it to pump.
So you can sneak a point of damage in here and there,
and you can slow down like your development if you need to. Also, with Mog Flunkies, it's just really good as a guy. You can play turn 1, you can play turn 2 Flunkies, and then get in there.
Sure. Okay. So let's take a look at your next pick. Again, there's a Krenko's Command. There's an Essence Drain. Why Chandra's Fury over Essence Drain, which is going to deal with like a bigger creature?
I didn't really think that I was going to have to deal with creatures at the point where I got to 5 mana as much. I already had the Turn to Slag to deal with creature at that point. And my basic, as I said, my plan was early beat down and then late game to burn them out. I think here though, I already had a Chandra's Fury. I probably should have taken Krenko's Command instead, just for either that or the Crippling Blight for some cheaper spells for lowering the curve.
Okay, moving along. What? So you've gotten a Fireball, an X-Spell in every pack.
Every pack, yeah.
So you've got 3 of these. Do you give any consideration to something like Crippling Blight here, like something lower on your curve? Or do you just slam this down and
I think I slam it down. Like even it can kill 1-drops. I mean, 1 toughness guys for 3 mana, which is still fine. And then there's no card that just can win games like for free afterwards, after you've gotten an early damage, or just kill big creatures, which is what the weenie decks struggle with generally.
All right. So let's take a look at the last 2 slides we have. So Mog Flunkies over Blade Tusk Boar over Goblin Arsonist.
Yeah. The more flunkies you have in your strategy, it's better. Like they work well together.
Yeah. I mean, they give you a little hint in the artwork.
Right. I already had 2 4-drops for my curve, so otherwise I would probably take the Boar.
Okay.
It's I think it's probably the better card, but the Flunkies is really good, and Arsonist is just average. And
then let's take a look at the last slide again, 5th pick. We see another Dragon Hatchling.
Yeah.
And kind of maybe a Sign in Blood now.
No, even if I was thinking that I was definitely black, it wasn't enough black to play Sign in Blood. I was only going to have a small splash for the Crimson guys and
Crimson Muck Raiders,
and the Public Execution, perhaps.
Okay. So in the end, you do decide to go red-black.
Right.
First 2 rounds have not been super kind to you.
No, not been kind to me.
You're 0-2. What do you have to do? I mean, you've been in this position before. What do you need to do right now to get Team Canada, right up there into day 2 competition?
Well, you just got to not worry about the past. The games are done. It's like no crying over spilt milk or whatever. Okay. You have to just focus up and just play tight. And that's all you can do.
Okay.
Got to play as well as you can.
Okay. Well, I'm going to let you get back to playing as well as you can. Thank you for coming and visiting us in the Tournament Center. For Alexander Hayne, this is Brian David Marshall sending it back to Rich Hagon at the news desk.